are going to discuss the approval of a pro statement for the capital override election. Dr. Boyle?
The plan would be that you have support statements.
It's on your text.
So there's a link to the capital override draft statement. If you guys need to review that.
It's the same one we received. Correct?
Yes.
There's two other attachments, the capital allocation and question and answers, if you guys need to review that. Are there any questions?
So because it's in the Q&A, I think, right? It is not. Okay. I see hardware, software, technology, etc. Okay, hold on a second.
I guess my question is there a benefit to having a pro statement that is significantly different than our Q&A statement? Or would it be better if those two were more aligned, meaning similar language?
That's kind of what I was thinking too. Is like we mentioned computer software, etc., and what the general things that you can do with that funding, but we don't necessarily go out of our way to talk about Common Core standards or park assessments and the reality of how drastically that's going to change how we give these kinds of tests. And then I guess a little bit, they mentioned Common Core, but yeah, same question.
My other thought or question is, are we limited to length of a pro statement in terms of how long our statement is? I mean, obviously we don't want to take up too much space because we want other people to write pro statements and have their question choice, but are we, because this seems very short and sweet.
Does anyone have an answer to that?
I don't believe there is.
Okay. So we could add a more impactful statement about Common Core and its effect on our district.
Yes, I agree. This funds textbooks, library materials, computer software, and desk for our children. It just sounds kind of generic. And I think if there's a bit of wordsmithing to do to add the fact that Common Core is something that we must abide by, and actually have it was the park assessment too. Park assessment also wants some other technology.
Is there a statement in the question and answer that talks about the impact of Common Core? And
Yeah, let's see. Underneath where it says, why has the district called for this election?
Okay.
And in the second paragraph, right, as a direct result of this funding reduction, the district has been unable to maintain up-to-date curriculum materials and resources. We are fully implementing the Common Core state standards as required by the state of Arizona. These standards require acceleration of our current curriculum as well as technology for instruction and assessment.
Do we like that statement?
I like it, but without the first sentence. I like it starting, we are fully implementing, and then we're going into these require acceleration. Because it sounds like we're failing already when we say this. I'm just not comfortable with that statement.
Well, and I just noticed that the dollar amounts are different between the pro statement and our informational statement, and so I'm trying to look to, I'm assuming this is Scott's note on the calculation.
Which
Is that right?
dollar amounts?
And so in the,
Cost to the taxpayer?
no, in the, why is the district calling for the election? And when we talk about a 73% reduction, and then $173, and then the pro statement, we're talking about a 69% reduction. And now we're just receiving $37. So that's a pretty significant difference. And so I guess my question is, are we displaying two different sets of information? And if that's the case, we probably ought to be consistent in what we put out so that we don't confuse voters.
I think buildings is included in the Q&A one, buildings is not in the other. Yeah, buildings is not in the other, buildings is in the Q&A one, buildings. Oh, and building ones. Buildings.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
That
materials,
word.
technology, equipment, and buildings, and then the pro statement just says textbooks, library materials, and technology. $100 more for your building.
So would you like them to be more aligned? I think they should be, just so there's more clarity. The more consistent we can be with our message, the
Yeah.
better.
Yeah, I would hate for somebody to have a Q&A document and then read our pro statement and say, they're talking about two different
They're
amounts of money.
contradicting
And they're
themselves, yeah.
contradicting one another.
They might not see that.
No.
It adds, there's one word more. I agree.
Was there any reason not to just use with some modification, this section that why is the district called for this election? That language, and what will the override do for our students' language? And convert that to our pro statement?
That makes sense.
I mean, we want to
We
make
do
it
that.
grammatically correct and such and make sure that it,
Could you repeat what you just said?
well, so if we take the, why are we calling for the election and what will we do with the money for our students, that those two sections from the Q&A document, and just kind of wordsmith that so that it sounds more like a pro statement as opposed to just information, so that we're having consistent messaging. And again, going back to some very specific things that we're going to do. I don't think we don't need to explain what an override is in our pro statement or how long it's going to last, but I think
Right.
those two sections are the most germane to the intent, which is we want to prepare students for college and career and 21st century skills, and we've been doing, what we can with the budget that we've been given by the state, and if they continue to cut, unfortunately, there's a gap between, the needs of our students and our abilities through state funding, and so we're asking our voters to help support us in continuing to focus on student achievement and get students to where we need them to go.
I really like showing the decrease of 555.35 per student in 2006-07 school year to 170. I really like showing that difference because it's like, wow, that's
Yeah,
a lot
that's
of money.
Pretty stark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've advanced in years, and cost of living's gone up, and that's gone way down.
So we can do two things. We can rewrite it as a board so that we can approve this tonight, or we can ask the administration to incorporate our changes. Is there a preference?
The second thing is.
One, we have, Dr. Boyle is going out to grab a couple of the Creighton communicators, because I know that we'd had both the Q&A in some version of the Q&A language in there, as well as her own message about the override to take a look at that we might want to incorporate. In terms of when pro statements are due, Hilda, do you know when we
It
have?
is due on Friday, and Ed just told me that it is 300 words.
In other words, it's due this Friday?
It is due this Friday, so this would have to be
So we can't be verbose and we have to get it done tonight. Is that fabulous?
It'll be the communicator you're referring to. Is that a draft that's going to go out, or is it one that's
Someone that
already?
just went out.
Did it come in today's mail?
No,
I know, I
last
haven't
week.
gotten mine either.
I didn't get mine
I
either.
got mine last week.
I usually get them at home before I get them from the district.
I must not have mine.
I'm going to attempt, without getting myself killed here, to explain.
Have we
the
scared
difference.
you sufficiently enough today?
Pretty much, I'm going to keep my mouth quiet most of the time. But, I think it's the wording that differentiates between $37.63 versus the $170-some dollars. If you go to the pro statement, it says after this $3 million cut by the state, we now receive just $37.63 per student per year for textbooks, library materials, and technology.
It doesn't include
If you
building.
go to the letter, or if you go to the question and answer, or better yet, if you go to the capital allocations, that number is including both unrestricted and soft capital. And I think when Scott calculated this out and came to the 37, he was looking specifically at the soft capital.
Mhm.
I remember him saying that there was a difference because we pointed it out as well. I believe that was it. If he had, I could text him on top of the John Muir Trail, I would, but I don't think he is. So there is a difference. It has to do with how he worded it, and when he looked at that 37, when he did it looking that way, anyway, that's what I believe he did. And that's why you have the two different numbers.
Got it. So I mean, I still think that it makes, thank you for the clarification, and that definitely makes a lot of sense. I don't want to put out two different sets of dollar amounts with a slight nuance of in one dollar amount, we're talking about fixtures, furniture, and equipment, which is allowable under the override. And in another, we're just talking about soft capital and capital. So Hilda, without having to literally count words, do you have the Q&A in an electronic form that we can just figure out, like?
I do not. I
Okay.
mean, I can, type
Well, that would be
information.
horrible and time consuming for you. Why?
Yeah,
Because
she's done it before.
you're amazing.
She
So
amazing.
why we called for this election, and then what will the capital override do for our students, and some of the detail in that is what we're thinking about. And we may not have to be as specific in terms of,
So it would start with the state
It would-
funding and support? Is that what
Yeah.
you're?
Yeah.
You guys get your state, just ignore it.
the fact that you're typing in front of people is amazing, because this is my, I would be panicking.
You know, back in school, your fingers are on home row. I remember getting in trouble for that all the time. 6th grade.
That's kind of confusing.
Really?
Yes. The first time.
Okay. I hate PCs.
An issue with PC?
Okay. It just kind of threw me off. Hold on, it just keeps.
Oh, it's probably, you know what, it's probably because your hands are teaching that. I do that all the time. And that's
Don't be.
See, it did it again.
You know what, it does that on this computer too.
If you just,
Type.
on my phone book, that is bigger, touch the brass pad.
So is it when I touch the mouse, is that when it does it?
Yeah, I think that's better.
See, it did it again. Okay, so this might not happen.
Do we want to take a short recess and I mean, I'm sure this is electronic somewhere on somebody's computer.
Well, you can cut it and paste it on the PDF. Usually you can highlight it.
I couldn't highlight it
Oh,
either
that's
for
right.
some reason. I mean, I could put a box around it, but I couldn't, like, actually take the text and move it,
Yeah.
which is weird. But you know, maybe it's, well, is it a PDF or is it a photo?
Dr. Burrow's gonna go see if she's can bring it on.
I'm gonna see if I don't have
She's
it.
got it on. Anyone know any good poetry?
Somebody said that it couldn't be done.
I feel like we sort of have like this filibuster thing going right now where we need to just talk to distract people, but.
Do you have any good first week teaching stories?
No, not really. You know, the nice thing is that in the classroom, in my IB success strategies class, I think, and I've got two classes, approximately 50 kids total. I want to say that 7 or 8 of them came from Creighton School District.
Wow.
So that's pretty cool, you know, to see that.
Good Susan Lou got that data.
Now, that's just me like mentally like scanning the class and asking what classroom they came or what middle school they came from, and I think there was a good like 6 or 8. that
How do
came
you
from
say
Creighton
on a
School
PC?
District. Yeah.
All of you guys are Mac people, I don't know how to say.
I know there were 2 from LCK.
Oh, here, I found it.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and then the next one, I start with a capital, is that
Yeah, so then.
under, what
Yeah,
was
so
it
a
for our
capital of
students?
pride would allow the district to provide, yes.
And I think it was. Which one is
The
the
back arrow was a button. That's right, yeah. That's the one.
There we go.
Makes you feel better. I'm exactly the same way on a Mac.
Oh, really?
So, except for I think it's like 4 times as hard on a Mac because nothing works intuitively.
Max are first. So easy.
I think it's when if you're switching that, that's the rest of the year. Or if you're not used to it at all, it's completely fine.
I only have a Mac network out of PC, so I constantly getting switched back.
I would like to get
You're just a
young workers now too, so.
Probably in his car. Thought you were all, pregnant.
So then, just
Oh,
the,
really?
not the headings,
Interesting.
Okay.
but the,
The headings.
so technology, so maybe it's just, or maybe it's just technology, maybe it's just the headings, what do you think, guys? Instead of from the Q and A, providing the additional description,
Yeah,
you
just
just
that
did the
headings.
3 bullet points with the 62% of funding, 50% of funding.
Yes.
No, not the explanations, just, yeah, just the bolded text.
So we are on 182
Was it there? Was it there?
Yeah, that was it.
Well, we'll wordsmith right here. I think we might still be okay. Does it include our names?
And does it include the names or does that go below? I think their names can go below, right?
And there's one sentence that I
We can
find
cut some stuff out.
Yeah, we
really
can, yeah.
awkward. Okay, we're
Yeah,
gonna.
we'll let it now that we have the word notable count, and then the electronic version we can manipulate.
Not to be too.
Not to be an English teacher. Oh, go girl.
I did that
You're an English
with the
teacher,
Phoenix
I
Art
know.
Museum for 5 years, so we're all languagers.
And the foreign teacher.
Printed name and signature required. Titles containing more than one title will be counted towards the 200 limit.
You're the bearer of bad news.
So,
Maybe the
I mean,
first
so,
one.
you know, titles to say
And you guys can
governing board members, and then all of you guys, instead of saying each, like, president, clerk, because then that'll be
Yeah.
counted as.
That's great.
If you add the titles, it counts against.
Oh, yeah, no,
So we can just say governing board and then all of you listed.
That's fine.
Yeah, titles containing more than one title. So if you say governing board and then the names, it would not count against you if you said governing board
Did
president.
you know I have a long one?
Right now, we're at 193 words,
And we have a 300 limit.
and it's 200.
All right, so let's wordsmith and make sure it's not. Can I do first? Uh-huh. Get in front of the English teacher.
Well, the artist goes first. Okay, yeah, fix your curriculum. And I know we're gonna have to chop out some words, I'm gonna add some, but we'll end up chopping some, I'm sure. Or maybe we'll chop what I add. So, don't we have to write the word pro at the very beginning? At the top?
Do we have to write pro at the top of our statement? And does that count against our word count?
So just check out there for pro.
Oh,
It's up here.
So it doesn't count against you.
Okay, so,
So there's kind of like a filler already that we fill. Let me show it to you. Okay. That I'll be filling out. And so the actual statement goes in here. with the 200 word limit. And so we'll be sending out the pro one.
oh, got it, okay.
okay.
This is the actual form that we'll be filling out.
Okay, I got it, thanks.
Any other, so what wording do you want to change?
Okay, at the very beginning, because I just want to put due to the fact that the state funding and support of curriculum materials has been reduced to only, would you say, over to the past several years?
Because then you have to change the rest of the sentence.
So you can just say due to state budget cuts, if we're trying to keep it concise. Too many words and people won't read it.
Due to, yeah, due to state funding reductions, cuts, budget cuts, due to.
We also want to make it accessible for every person who might read it, you know, so due to state budget cuts, or, you know, state education funding cuts, but keep it real consistent.
Yeah, we need education in there or something. Due to state funding. Oh, we don't, because it says in support of curriculum materials technology.
So due to state funding reductions, cuts,
Cuts is a different.
And shorter.
due to state funding cuts. It's not the length of paragraphs, it's the number of words.
I know, but that's easier for people to understand. Yeah, no, we need part of the,
That
end of the sentence.
have supported or
For supporting instead of,
due to state funding cuts that supported curriculum materials, technology, equipment, and buildings.
Okay.
That's supported? That supported curriculum?
No, that's not right.
There has
There has
been,
been a
there
reduction.
has been,
A reduction?
mm, no, the there has done actually goes after the word buildings.
Okay, so I'm gonna delete all of this and
Yeah.
to
Yeah, go back
that
to
says
supported.
curriculum,
Yeah, and go down to,
buildings. So I have to keep
Yeah.
buildings, and then there has been. And then get rid of has been again.
Okay, but there has been
A reduction
a reduction.
And then you can get rid of has been reduced, and then go to 5. Of,
of 73% in,
This is vague though, because it says that the cuts supported curriculum materials. Due to state funding cuts that supported curriculum materials.
right, so due to
Technology.
state funding cuts, there has been a reduction of 73%.
perfect.
Okay, so what, due to state funding cuts?
So copy and paste, there has been a reduction of 73%, or retype it.
Oh, reduction.
Of 73%. And then paste back after 73% where you just cut out.
Okay, I'm gonna cut it out.
I'm
Due to state
feeling like
funding
the
cuts,
first
there has been
statement
a
over here
reduction
is
of
much clearer.
73%
I'm just saying,
of
Or
what?
just
on the first statement,
yeah, I'm like looking at this and getting tired right now, like I feel like this is really straightforward and to the point, and I don't know why we're changing it exactly.
Well, it's a pro,
But what we're trying to say is that state funding in support of curriculum, materials, technology, equipment, and buildings has been reduced. That's the point that we're trying to make.
Yeah.
Because of that reduction, we are seeking this override. I don't know, I feel like we're getting too wordy over here, and what we had here was really concise and to the point and reachable to everyone. I would give this a better grade than that.
Well, we're not done, this is still in the guide. That's not fair. This is a formative assessment, and it's not fair for you to give me something. Well, I think we're close to.
Let me know that.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're close to getting this, the first sentence in alignment with the first sentence of the first statement. The problem with the first statement was that we had different values, and we were describing different pots of money, so we needed it to be consistent, so. So due to state budget cuts.
In curriculum, so then this is where you were,
Yep, in curriculum materials.
had a bunch, and you wanna.
I know, and I didn't copy, so I don't know how to cut on a PC.
What is it, you know?
Cut and paste on the PC.
Oh.
And
That's one sentence, though. I guess, was the other one sentence? Yeah.
so we're gonna period after building?
No, it's good that it's one
Oh.
sentence.
I thought you were saying that that was like a sentence.
No, it's good that it's just one sentence. Backspace again, so yeah, only one.
Now this won't be the actual, because I'll have to be putting it into the form.
That's
just state funding considers a reduction of 73% of dollars, right? Because we haven't reduced curriculum materials by that 73%, we've reduced the
Right.
funding for. I apologize to the audience, this is painful enough for us up here, the fact that you're having to sit through this.
Well, the other statement says reduction by 73%. So, does that make sense? No. It has been reduced by 73%.
Should we say there has been a funding reduction?
There's been a 73% funding reduction affecting curriculum, materials, technology, blah, blah, blah.
That's good, then you could take the word funding out of state funding cuts because you're repeating it.
I have no idea what I just said, so someone remembers.
You put the word funding there, Hilda.
So I'm gonna put it behind.
Are you copying and pasting? Do you want help?
Well, I just don't know. You
Copy
guys
and
are all
pasting?
saying
I know,
something, so
but-
I'm not sure which.
You're dear for doing this up there.
Did you say funding cuts?
There has been a 73% reduction.
Of curriculum materials, no, I'm sorry, I just thinking about 73% curriculum materials, technology, equipment, and buildings, funding. Did you say budget cuts? 73% curriculum materials, technology, equipment, and buildings. So the results would only decrease in the study funding.
I kind of like our pro statement because it's simpler if we could just reword it a little bit so that
Well, if we take the first
consistency of
part
the
of the first
73.
statement and add it to the rest of
Statement.
their Q&A statement, I think that's the
Right.
marriage of fabulous.
Right. Because I think we're getting too complicated.
And I have the pro statement here on this laptop.
All right, can you copy the, what?
If somebody will teach me
Sure.
how to copy it on the PC. So what are we going to?
So, well, you don't have a mouse, that's even worse. So, this is our first statement. And then if you right click it, or just push that button, you can copy. And then you can right click again. And so now.
We have two different percentages.
I'm drawing in a check.
How about, I mean, can we put that decrease of funds from 533?
Yeah.
That one,
All right, so,
because that's powerful.
What's the difference? It's gotta say building renewal, right?
Can we take that one out?
this context was sort of that. Then? All right, I see what, all right, so after the $3 million cut, we now receive just 173. 2, maybe now?
Yeah. That sounds good.
All right, so read that.
Up to date should be hyphenated. On the first line of the second paragraph.
Yeah, and I saw it in here, but I just didn't add it.
Yes. I think it's a little bit off the
The one thing that I don't understand, however, social studies materials are newest having been purchased, I don't feel like that needs to necessarily be in the pro statement.
I agree. It's too much.
I also had a, if we're gonna keep that second paragraph like that, I had a way to kind of merge the first two sentences. As a direct result of the funding reduction, the district will not be able to maintain up-to-date resources, materials and resources in order to fully implement the Common Core standards. As required by the state of Arizona.
And I think there should be a comma after reduction, as a direct result of this funding reduction, the district will not be able to maintain.
Yeah, those were my only two.
Okay, so we're over by 2 point of order, so we'll get there. We're over by 4 words. Well, let's see.
Well, let's see if we're redundant, we might be redundant. Oh. Can we take out by the state after $3 million cut? Building,
Yes?
if you take out by the state after $3 million cut, because we already know that the state cut it, because it's in the first sentence.
Woo! 200 words.
Did you put our names in there yet?
No, our names don't count,
Oh, okay.
right? Because if we only use one title,
So it says,
Only if we, and pick everything so that we don't.
so we don't lose it. Save
Wait,
early.
how does it look like?
All right, so let's take a look at it again.
Oh, yeah. Why is there a green underline under year? Is school year one word?
The school year always comes
It
out
always
grammatically
counts, it wants to
correct.
make it
Okay.
thorough because you got the 0607.
we call it 1 year, it calls it 2.
All right, being adjourned.
Oh, but we don't really need this piece, this last sentence, do we? That seems redundant now.
Which one?
This funds textbook, cyber materials, computer
Yeah,
software,
that's
because we have the reduction for textbook, cyber.
Yeah, it is
materials.
redundant.
Oh, yeah.
But should we add desks and software to this upper?
I would put computers and software in, desks are so, I wouldn't put desks. But this seems like you can use the old desks. Opposed to buying new desks.
Oxford comma. Put the Oxford comma in
Oxford comma.
there. After software.
I don't need an Oxford comma if I have a,
Oh, wait, you're not putting
Dash.
desks in there? Okay.
No.
good.
do we want desks in there? So
You know,
now,
when Manny went to the station, she was eggs, and she
$189, please.
Good. Well, it's better that it's not super long, because people won't read it all.
It will be. Somebody's tape. I prefer that. Perception. It's not DOT.
Do we want to say we urge you to, close with something like, we urge you to vote yes, we ask for your vote, we just kind of end after like, hey, we're here.
Your
In
humble.
the pro statement,
Oh, it sounds like you're chatting from behind me, guys. Yes.
At the study session, you kept turning around. Attorney
Well,
kept
the pro statement says, thank you for your continued commitment to our children. Maybe all of our children, I don't know. Because they're all of our children.
Continued support.
Commitment or support. They're like all of our children, not just our children, like they're not your children.
should we not do a direct ask and ask them to vote yes? Or
But when
is
you're
that not
saying-
appropriate?
When you're saying thank you, then you're saying.
Well, we are exactly at 200 words right now.
You say.
And it'll be under the pro statements
Mhm.
section, so.
That means vote yes, because it's pro.
Because otherwise we wouldn't have put it in the first statement. All right, I'm
The
walking
whole
away.
thing is 200 words.
That's 200 words.
Exactly. But if, can we see the negative statements?
Not until I publish. Surely there won't be any.
I can think of one.
Okay, so are we done?
I think so.
Okay.
Is everyone like?
All right, are we good? Should we make the motion?
Good.
Yes.
Tiffany,
Hold on,
you okay?
Yes, I'm okay.
No, what is this? Do we need to change anything?
I don't.
Okay, Ed made a good point. If we find out that the dollar amounts are different, then we make those corrections.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, should we
Well,
make
we
it?
have-
I believe the 173 includes building maintenance material, we took that out.
And we have till Friday to submit it, correct?
Yes.
So there's time to check with Scott.
But did the 555 include building maintenance also?
It did.
So we
I
can
believe
make
for
a,
the items you put on there, we only get $37 per child. So we want to just make sure.
Oh,
that
well, I
those
like,
dollar amounts are correct.
I like those two figures though. I'd like to add.
Well, but we're allowed to include building maintenance in the capital override.
Correct.
So then I think we need to,
Then you're 2 words over.
we can cut some other stuff out.
I don't need as compared to.
We could take out the thank you.
Let me help. No, I'm like good people.
Mhm.
So first is for textbooks, library, materials, computer.
What's the little mark after software?
It's a little,
It's a
like a dash and
Yeah,
building
yeah.
maintenance.
Building.
All right, that's
Renewal, did you need to? No, okay.
I'm sorry?
No, I was asking about renewal, but Jen said it doesn't have to be in there.
201. So how many?
201.
201 words. We need 1 word.
Yay.
Here, I'll give us some extra.
Excellent.
There you go.
198.
Or you could put yours truly.
Oh, and I can put that
Yours-
as compared.
yours truly.
Alrighty.
So whoever makes the motion will, whoever makes the motion will need to amend it to say approve the pro statement as amended.
As amended.
And then also need to make a statement about the dollar amounts that we'll double check prior to approving it. So just keep that in mind, whoever's gonna make the
Aren't
motion.
they right now?
We'll put that right now.
Are they?
Yeah, because by adding building maintenance to it, we have comparability between
I move the governing board approve the pro statements as amended to support the capital override election and submit the statements to be published in the election pamphlet, which will be distributed to the registered voters of the district.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Who seconded that?
Annette did. All right, under general business,